Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to our X-Space today. It's all about verifiable compliance, and compliance is always run on trust. It's been like that for years. Regulators, they trust auditors, auditors trust suppliers, etc. But as companies are really increasingly demanding much stronger guarantees now, there's been a bit of a shift in mentality from just asking to trust us to actually verify that trust with proof. So this X-Space today is all about really diving into how DataHubz and their product Hubz VCE is partnered and has partnered with a couple of chains that we own, zkVerify and Horizen chains, and together we're building really the first real production-ready path to cryptographically provable compliance. So hopefully we're going to find out more about how Hubz VCE can lock in immutable evidence on Horizen for compliance, and how it uses zero-knowledge proof verification from zkVerify to validate compliance statements without exposing any sensitive user data. So I wanted to introduce our panelists today. On our panel, we have David Silver, who's the CEO of DataHubz. He's got over 27 years of software engineering experience. It doesn't look it from the video call I had, David. And he's also had a decade of really focused on building privacy enhancing technology like fully homomorphic encryption, FHE, and post-quantum cryptography. And David's team is really pioneering compliance intelligence with private AI models and ZK integrations. So, hi, David. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Matt. Thank you very much for the introduction and kind words. I'm super excited to be here to talk to you and to John and to engage with everyone listening. This is in my heart. It has been the focus of my work and my research and my interest for many years. So super excited to discuss today with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And also my co-host for today is John Camado, who's our VP of Product at Horizen Labs, which covers both zkVerify and Horizen chains. Hi, John.
Hi, Matt. Hi, David. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here to talk about everything that you mentioned today. I'm actually personally very interested in all of this as well. And I actually don't know as much about DataHubz as I probably should as the VP of Product for Horizen Labs. So I'm excited to learn a lot from you, David, about what we're doing together and where this partnership or these partnerships can actually go. So thank you for inviting me to this.
Awesome. Thanks, John. And yeah, finally, I'm Matt Garren-Fisher. I'm Partnerships Manager here at zkVerify, and excited to moderate this discussion today. So if before we kind of kick off, if you want to understand how zkVerify is powering real applications in the ZK space, and why verifiable compliance might become the new trust standard across regulated markets, enterprises, and Web3, then definitely stick around for this show. John, do you have a few words about our proof program for any attendees that are joining from our Proofs Point program?
Yeah, absolutely. So Luca, who's been spearheading this, just gave me a little bit of a download that there's a task that's live for anybody that's tuning in from our incentivized testnet program, Proof Points. We have a community code for everybody to enter if you're tuning in from there, and if you're interested, I'm going to give you the secret code in a second, so you can enter to claim your 10 Ultra points. The code is ZK Community, all lowercase, no spaces. That's That's it, just ZK community. The task is a pretty short window, so make sure you submit it as soon as you can. And if you're listening and you don't know what Proof Points is our incentivized testnet program where we're kind of, encouraging people to follow along on a lot of our social media content, like things like this. And that's pretty much it. You can join at points.zkverify.io. There's a couple of sign up related things you have to do, like connecting your X account and things like that. And you'll get rewarded for all the activities that you participate in at some point in the near future. And thanks for everybody who has been participating and has, participated in the past as well. So with that out of the way, let's dive in. David, again, great to have you here. Can you give us a quick overview of DataHubz and how your background in privacy tech led to this ZK integration with zkVerify? And I'm pretty sure you guys are doing some stuff with Horizen too, so feel free to talk about both of those, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, John. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, everyone that is joining. So, my background, if we go all the way back, is like software engineering as a whole. But a little bit over 10 years ago, I moved to the US and I took I did my PhD in computer science with focus on privacy enhancing technology. So, this has been the focus of 10 plus years of my life, my career. And every time that I touch privacy enhancing technologies, I see that there is a paradox with other intents and goals and technologies. I'm going to give an example. Machine learning, it's all about revealing things, revealing patterns, revealing information that is not as explicit. You want to learn from data, you want to expose information, knowledge. And when you mix that with privacy enhanced technologies, then you have a conflict, right? So, how do you protect information while using a technology that is supposed to review everything? So, privacy enhancing technology is definitely not something that you slap on a solution as an afterthought. It really needs to be like one of the main ingredients of the solution to be truly private, to be truly secure and private by default and by design. So while deep diving in this, DataHubz was like the solution that we thought of. Okay, so compliance is already difficult, it's already complex, it takes a long time, um, it is costly, and people involved are not, typically thrilled about the process itself. But it can also have the paradox effect when in attempting to prove that you are compliant with something, you might review information that should not be revealed, right? So we have examples of that without naming any names, like, but companies trying to prove they have like proper uh, firewall configuration or multi-factor authentication configurations, they are sending screenshots of their configurations, and by doing so, revealing credentials and revealing identities, and that defeats the purpose of compliance, right? So, in a secure way, is what incentivize us to partner with Horizen and zkVerify, because we now have these ecosystem where it's not about trust anymore, it's about what you can prove, and prove without revealing sensitive information. So we can shift compliance, and that's the trend. I think this is what we all believe here, that compliance can go from a trust perspective to a true a proof perspective, where everything is about what you can verify and no longer how much trustworthy people believe you are. So statements can be proved without ever revealing any sensitive information. And when I say a statement is any compliance event that goes from document signatures, um, um, completion of activities, implementation. So you can say like you can prove an entire chain of events that you implemented multi-factor authentication correctly without ever revealing any identity. So this is what attracted us to this ecosystem. We are super excited about this, and I truly believe this is a trend that is not going to go back. Like there's no way for us to stay in compliance with point in time verification. We need like real time and continuous assurance of compliance.
Yeah,
Really
David.
love that.
Yeah, I love that
I'm
as
sorry,
well.
Matt. Go ahead.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to pick up on that. I mean, like, you were talking about, I guess, the market shifting, and like, how have you seen the market shifting in terms of maybe wanting more verifiable compliance? And have you seen kind of especially small and medium-sized businesses being overwhelmed by frameworks like HIPAA and CMMC and GDPR, and like actually needing this cryptographic trust? Like, what is your take on how it's going to evolve over the years?
Yeah, so it is. I can see things are changing, and it depends on the actors. Like when you observe the current situation, it depends like how things are going now. It depends on what kind of actor you're talking about. So for companies, there is today a kind of a uncomfortable situation, which is every time that you're working with a framework that has no certification process, or there is not a like an official report, which is the case of GDPR. I don't know if many people knows this. So the General Data Protection Regulation, the gold standard of privacy in the whole world that was created in the European Union, does not have a certification, not even an official report. So when you see people on their website saying we are GDPR compliant, what they're saying is uh, we believe that we implemented everything according to the GDPR guidelines. This is what they're saying, but there's no process of official, at least, to attest that, right? So that happens with many other frameworks from NIST, and the list goes on and on. So uh, there is this situation where people say they are compliant, but they have no way to prove. And proving could be the case of exposing them to many parties to say, take a look at us. And by doing so, again, it can defeat the purpose. Even if they sign NDAs and stuff like that, they are exposing probably trade secrets and some items related to competitive advantage. So that's a complicated situation. So for auditors, there is a liability, right? So every time they go and look and say, yeah, so I'm going to give you my report and my attestation that you are indeed compliant. But there is a liability process. So when we add cryptography and advanced cryptography protocols like zero knowledge proof, so what we are doing is we are bringing a strength that completely changes the landscape. So we are no longer talking about trust me or trust this person or this organization, but we are saying I can show you evidence, like undeniable evidence that I'm indeed aligned with the guidelines and directives of the GDPR, framework. So that changes everything, and I love transformative technologies that does not destroy anything. This is like improving the state of the art. Is truly bringing everyone involved today, like organizations, auditors, policymakers, everyone, to a much better context. And this is next level compliance for everyone, where organizations can confidently say that they are indeed compliant and demonstrate that proof in real time, not just in one day, on the audit day or in the audit period, but continuously. So I like to refer to this as real time and continuous assurance because it is any time and any person can do that due to the nature of blockchain and to the nature of privacy enhancing technologies. Anyone can go there and see for themselves. So it's a completely different ball game, and I'm super excited. I see organizations going from curiosity to taking action with respect to this because in the end they are being safer, they are being uh, more responsible. So this is good for everyone, and for auditors this is also great because it reduces liability because now they have concrete evidence to point to. So this is overall a win-win.
Really appreciate that, David. I'm curious. Um, how much work do you think? Because, like, I guess a little bit of context for the audience. Like, zero knowledge proofs are obviously like very heavily reliant on math and cryptography. How much like shift does like an auditing agency or government need to do in order to actually like kind of understand what they're looking at when they're looking at the verification of these proofs or actually verifying the proofs themselves? Like, how much of a shift do you think is needed on the agencies that are actually like performing the audits or compliance? Is there work that needs to be done there, or are they kind of like willing to accept proofs as you know removing the need to now trust these things? Like, what's your perspective there?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I have been involved with several aspects of this process for a long time now. So, in any case of new technologies, like there is a serious need of education, right? So, uh, education is a big piece of this. The effort is less at this point is less technical and more related to awareness and knowing more about what this means. It's important for people to know that zero knowledge proof is like it's not something that came to the scene yesterday. Like there is like tons of research and many years of people and organizations around the world using this for real world scenarios. But this everything that I'm saying here needs to be like organized in a visual way and spoken in many events. I think even this event right now is delivering information that some of the people attending might not know, you know. So this is part of the education process. So I think everyone has a responsibility with education. So DataHubz is committed to contribute and help to change the landscape. So in our social medias, in our website, we are always talking about compliance technologies. So we believe this is becoming a field in itself as opposed to an accessory to other fields. So compliance tech is here, and it is a rich ecosystem full of powerful tools, and we need to talk more about that. And I love the fact that DataHubz is now in partnership with Horizen and with zkVerify, and I think other companies will come together, and we need to talk about this. We need to provide information so um, leaders and um, government authorities and other folks that somehow create have authority and influence on adoption. They need to know more. They need to know more to feel confident. One last comment about your question. I was in Switzerland a few years ago participating in a homomorphic encryption standards meeting, and some of the folks from ISO, the standards, went there, and they said that they were shifting their approach to standardizing new technologies. It used to be purely based on the technical merits of the technologies. So back then, a few years ago, they decided that standardization will be based on adoption. And I thought that that was like amazing, because a tool or a new technology can be incredible, but if there is no use in society, and people is not buying in, then it's not relevant. So it's not the case of zero knowledge proof. It's highly necessary. We need to prove things, but we don't need to review more than necessary. So I think this is great for compliance, but great for society as a whole. And I'm super excited with that.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I guess I wanted to dig into the detail a bit more in terms of how you're using zkVerify. And I think we spoke about in the last call that we had together about covering responsibility matrix proofs. Can you give me a specific example of like what you're proving with zkVerify, and how it ensures signatures meet certain criteria without exposing user data? Could you kind of share a bit more about what you're proving here?
Absolutely. So we have our first use case. I'm going to talk about this now, but just so you know, we are bringing many more. So we want in these milestone 3 of the program that we are participating, we are delivering something super cool. So I'm disclosing here firsthand, which is we are going to have a builder of like a real-time generator for statements. So whatever, anything they want to prove, you're going to be able to do this using the UI, and then create these statements and be able to build a proof. But the use case that we are doing right now is this. There is something in compliance called the responsibility matrix. Basically, who is responsible for what? And this is present throughout the entire compliance journey. So a very simple example is like you are starting a new compliance journey. You want to be compliant with respect to some cybersecurity framework. And one of the first documents that you create is the governance charter. Like who is responsible for what? So typically you need someone responsible for executive decisions, and someone responsible for technical implementations, someone responsible for staff, someone responsible for reviewing the policies. So any decisions that you make, you need to have a signature, and that document is dated, and you have the signature of all responsible parties. So you have 2 options now, at least 2 options. When you finish, you can get that document and deliver it to a third party and say, see, here's the policy, and everyone that was supposed to sign this document, sign this document. So if it is just a governance charter, that's not a big problem, right? But imagine that we are discussing now a big um, failure, internal failure, or a big governance related problem that happened internally, and you want to somehow show that all the work that you needed to do and other people involved in the responsibility matrix actually did that work. So doing the work can be simple as review a document or sign a document or provide logs of that a certain software ran in the server. So every single thing that I'm saying here is a compliance event, and to say that this was done properly on time or signed by the appropriate people, those are all statements. So we can cryptographically create a proof that that statement is true, and a third party can verify that their statement is true without us ever revealing the name of the people that signed the documents, or the actual failures that happened, or or any other detail about the the compliance events. So right now we are only taking care of responsibility matrix and events related to that, mostly document signatures and policy review. But we intend to apply that for the entire audit trail, and that would include things like the user logged in or logged out, or the user uploaded a file, and um, and the file was approved by the responsible party, and so on and so forth.
So in this case, David, the zero knowledge proofs are less about privacy and more about like consolidating lots and lots of information for a regulator or auditor to consume in a very like small like piece of math that they can just verify very quickly. Is that kind of like a summary of ultimately what you just described is trying to achieve?
So I think it's together. It's really hard to remove one thing from the other, right? We want a mechanism to attest that what I'm saying is true. But how can I do that? How can I put that accessible to the world without the privacy aspect of it, right? So it would defeat the purpose, like I said. Like, it would be one of these conflicting goals. So I want transparency. I love the fact that the chain is immutable, and we have mechanisms for verifying each event anchored in the chain. But it's very important that when I create a statement based on a compliance event, and I tell people what that statement is, but I don't reveal anything about that. Education plays a big role, because people need to understand how strong is the fact that I can still prove something's true without knowing any other information other than it is true, right? So the toy example that people give all the time when talking about zero knowledge proof is the age verification, right? You go to a place and someone wants to know if you are older than 21. The only thing that person needs to know is yes or no, right? But if I give them my driver's license, I'm giving away, at least here in Colorado, I'm giving my home address, I'm giving my actual date of birth, and I'm giving my full name and my driver's license number. So much information to just determine if I am older than 21 or not. So the same thing happens with compliance. So let's take this toy example to now understand what we are doing with compliance. We have compliance events, and one of them is: did you enable? Are you enforcing multi-factor authentication from all user accounts? Is the disk of every single employee you have encrypted? So how do you do that? So this is a statement that needs to be proved. So what a lot of people do, they take screenshots of their screens of their systems and send that away. So the auditor does not need to know what are the names and identities of all the employees of a company. We are completely giving more than necessary. But if you build a proof that say, like, given a certain number of employees and their devices, I can prove if their disks are encrypted. And then I build a proof, and auditor can run the proof and say, okay, so this is saying that it is true. So from that point on, they don't need to know all the details about my employees and what they use. Only that particular requirement was met. So I think this quick verification, efficient process together with the privacy aspect is a powerful combo.
I see.
Awesome.
I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, David. I'm a bit curious, actually. Like, how did I know this? But how did this relationship begin with DataHubz and initially Horizen and then zkVerify? Like, where did it come about? What convinced you that Horizen chain was the right chain partner for DataHubz? And then also, I guess, following that, like, what made you think that zkVerify was the right choice for verifying these compliance transactions with DataHubz?
So that's a great question. This came about last year. It started last year when we at DataHubz decided that we would not be just another compliance software or just another compliance tool. We really wanted, our vision was to be a provider of compliance technologies, like plural. So we were thinking about an entire ecosystem and infrastructure. We believe that the future of most technologies that we are seeing right now, including AI, machine learning, and so on, is infrastructure. And I had the opportunity to meet someone from Thrive, and I learned about the programs that Thrive and Horizen were running. And I got super excited because that was like not only an alignment of vision, but also an alignment of area of work, of technologies employed, and so on. So I built a project and applied for the Thrive Horizon program, and we got accepted. We were super excited, and we are concluding this process in a few days. And during this, we were obviously studying everything around Horizen, and we heard about zkVerify. For us, it was amazing because in the past, like it is still true for some technologies still, but in the past, like the overhead of advanced cryptographic protocols and schemes was always the main barrier for adoption. And I was very pleased to learn how efficient the infrastructure of zkVerify for running zero knowledge proofs was. And I did some tests, and man, I was getting like some very interesting proofs in less than 5 seconds, and I was like, that completely works for me. So yeah, so it is the basically the reason, because it is part of a big vision, ambitious, that puts privacy at the center and not as an afterthought. It is all about the infrastructure around it. We don't want to think like small about this. We want organizations to eventually, and that's part of DataHub's vision. We want organizations to be compliant by default and by design, and that includes change the way that they produce, the way that they operate. Instead of working, building, produce, and then thinking how we are going to be compliant after all, is to start from a compliance perspective and use tools that help them to be compliant by default by design, and that includes privacy enhancing technologies at the center of it. So is an alignment of vision and tools and technologies. So the more I learn about Horizen and zkVerify, the more this idea is confirmed in our head.
I think you mentioned a little bit, David, and thank you for that, by the way. Like, what is like the sort of like key thing about, I've been working on zkVerify for 2 years, so I'm always interested to hear other people's perspectives. But like, what is the key feature that sold zkVerify to you? Like, is there one in particular, or is it just, as you mentioned, the efficiency with which it can verify proofs and do it in a decentralized way?
Yeah, so it is essentially the efficiency and the fact that we can do this on chain. So I had the opportunity to work with blockchain technologies right in the beginning of my academic career. That was like 10 plus years ago. And I can tell you, back then I could not find, at least I didn't know closely any infrastructure that would allow the efficiency that we have now, that we can see now. So we use these snarks, ZK snarks, because of the efficiency of that. I ran a research with 30 plus companies last year and asking about privacy enhancing technologies, and most of them said that they would change the way they operate to be more private, to be more aligned with security first and privacy first principles, as long as did not compromise efficiency, performance. So this is still a big hurdle for some technology within the privacy enhanced technologies ecosystem. So when I tested zkVerify and saw how efficient it was, I thought, like, from the size of the proof to the generation time to the verification time to the ability to work with ZK snarks, using a circuit that I had the opportunity to study in the past, but now I'm working with this Groth 16. So all of that combined made our minds. So like we can totally use that. This can be a strong layer of our vision of verifiable compliance.
Awesome. Thank
Got
you.
it. Thanks.
Thanks, David. So we actually have a few listeners in the audience. So I think now's a good time to, if you have a question, please raise your hand in the audience, and we can bring you on stage if you've got a question, and you can ask that live. So I think, yeah, we've got Safira07, Gray Life, Mandeep. I can see you all here. Anyone that's got a question, feel free to ask. While we're waiting for people to come on stage, I'll ask maybe a quick question here. So what are you most excited about, David? I know now you're kind of at the third milestone of the Horizen grant program with Thrive. Like, what are you most excited about in the future, now that you've got to this stage and you've started to verify proofs on zkVerify? What's next for this project?
Yes, great question. So I'll try to answer this without like revealing too much too early. But we have an idea for using Merkle trees and ring signatures to do bundle compliance verification together with zero knowledge proof as well. Of course, I'm very interested in something that is highly challenging to do efficiently with is privacy preserving machine learning. So at the very least, we want inference of privately. So not just using trusted execution environments, um, but running with fully homomorphic encryption, which is in terms of concept, the one concept that when I talk to people that is not from does not have a technical background at all, this is the one that they like the most. Is the most impressive one and the one that they would jump on board like very quickly, because for them is like the ultimate uh, level of security. You encrypt everything and you compute on data while encrypted without ever decrypting. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I would totally do that," but we know that doing that in large volumes of data and with complex operations, this is still a challenge, right? And doing that like repeatedly, so is still a big challenge. So we are interested in doing that for sure. Combining with other privacy methods like anonymization, pseudonymization, um, data minimization. So we believe that with there is a interesting mix where you can apply the right tool for the job and have the ultimate level of compliance. And for attackers and adversaries, it will be very hard to to succeed in attacks, because we are not talking about just one thing. It's like an onion, like several layers and more layers of security and privacy measures. So I think the future is very um, bright with respect to everything that we are talking here, because we can get to a point where we have compliance um, verification with zero exposure, but also the intent and the willingness of all the parties involved. Right now, every time that I talk about this with an auditor or even a policymaker, they like what they hear. You can see the smile in their faces. They like what they hear. They're not against it. It's just not. It's just not the practice as of yet. It's not the standard. So they cannot require this from everyone, because not everyone is doing, and also it's not formally a step of the process. So they have to rely on whatever framework they're working on and what the audit. We plan to use a little bit of everything, like in summary, like from some cases we cannot run away from trusted execution environments, especially for training an AI model privately. So we are going to use that, but we want to use FHE for inference. We want to use um, micro trees and for bundled verifications. Continue to use zero knowledge proofs and on and on.
Awesome. I think we've got time for one more question. So if anyone wants to raise their hand now, please do so. Otherwise, John, do you have any more questions?
I can fill in with maybe, hopefully, a, a quick question. Like, I really am interested in this concept of like real time compliance, which I don't know if you mentioned it explicitly, but it sounds like that's kind of the longer term goal. How far away, like how many years out do we think like real time compliance is, where it's not like you have to like dump a bunch of documents or a bunch of data to somebody who's interested in checking out whether you're compliant or not. You're kind of just always either compliant or not compliant, I guess. How far out do you think that future is, David?
My guess would be that we are anything like it is something that should happen in the short to mid-term. And I'm talking about like in technology, like 5 years can be like an eternity, right? So, like in the next 2 to 3 years, I think we are going to see a completely different scenario about this. And the reason in my mind is simple: is that today compliance is costly for everyone. It's costly for the companies. It's costly for the auditors. So the whole process is slow, it's painful. And part of this is just the amount of paperwork. It's so easy to forget something. It's so easy to miss a detail. And some people, many times, they have all the policies in place, but they forgot to sign. So dashboard and they show the gap analysis. So it is a visualization mechanism, and you have reminders and event triggers. This is all very good, and we do that. But when it comes to the audit packet, this is where the game changes. When it comes to the audit packet, we are talking about the compliance deliverables. So if you can trust that compliance is being monitored and is being assessed in real time and continuously, not just real time, but continuously, that changes how compliance is perceived, and compliance is verified, and compliance is managed, both for companies and for policymakers and for auditors. Because now everyone knows I have a tool to check what is the current situation of company A right now. I don't need to ask them, you know. So if you look at GDPR, one of the major violations of GDPR, against what most people would think, is not the data breach. Data breach is horrible, and many companies can get in trouble with that. But if you look at the volume of violations, many companies are being for years fined. They are receiving huge fines because of they were unable to demonstrate privacy by default and by design. So sometimes not even a single breach occurred, but they could not demonstrate in the way that they built the solution, in the way that they operate as a company, that there was a concern from beginning to end with privacy. And this can be uh, um, detected very easily. So if an auditor or an authority comes and asks, like, what are the logs of all the um, modifying actions that you did on data for the past 30 days? So if you don't have a screen, a button, something very simple, very quick to show this, and you ask for 2 weeks to deliver that information, basically what you're saying is that you were not ready for that, and you don't have that baked in the solution. So privacy by default by design is not there. So having this infrastructure, this foundation of privacy, for me, is what is going to change compliance, the way that compliance is done now. And people need to get used to this, that it is one thing if I say something, it is a completely different thing if you can come and verify my information using reputable cryptographic solutions that can give you the answer that you're looking for without revealing more than you need to know.
Thank you, David. We've got one question from the audience, 0xn. Feel free to ask your question.
Hi, Matt. My name is Nandagoban. Thanks for pulling me on the stage. I actually have one question. It's not exactly on the verifiable complaints front, but more regarding the zkVerify network. Thing is, we are currently building a multi-chain, on-chain gaming, on-chain verifiable gaming platform, and we're using zkVerify for some of our proof verification needs. I just wanted to know, like, I know that currently zkV contracts are live on base mainnet. Just hoping to know, like, what all are some of the other networks that we are planning to launch on the mainnet, and how soon we can expect those.
We can do, let's connect maybe offline, and we can talk about your needs, and we can deploy to new chains on mainnet as needed. So happy to talk more on and discuss like what your actual needs are, and we can go from there.
All right, thanks.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you so much, David, John, and everyone that's listened today in this X space. You know, we've seen how DataHubz together with Horizen Chain and also zkVerify are really changing compliance and taking it from manual trust, trusting humans to actually verifiable trustlessness with proofs, and targeting like really big compliance frameworks like GDPR, for example. So, if you're inspired, please check out DataHubz. Their website, so DataHubz is spelled DATAHUBZ. Also check out zkVerify, zkverify.io. You can join our Proof Points program that John talked about earlier, which is at points.zkverify.io for more rewards on challenges that we set you to be engaged in our community. You can follow us on X at zkVerify. You can follow us at Horizen as well at Horizen Official, and also follow DataHubz at DataHubz. David, John, any final thoughts before we close up?
Well, thank you very much, Matt. Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone who joined. I hope that we could cover at least an overview of what DataHubz is doing, how excited we are, how much we believe in this ecosystem, and this is a trend that is growing, and we believe that having an independent, verifiable trust layer for any kind of system, like including AI, supply chains, and software as a service, all of that, like APIs and on, like they can all incorporate zero knowledge proofs. Even the authentication process moving forward should consider this. Like you can prove if someone is have the credentials or not to enter a service or to consume some resource without exposing even the identity of that person. So I believe this is the future, and compliance is super important. Our hope and dream is that we are going to help make compliance more efficient, less costly, and take less time, and be more enjoyable even for companies. So for that, we are happy to be part of this great ecosystem. And for everyone listening, please get in touch, ask questions. It's always a pleasure to talk about this. So thank you so much, Matt. Thank you, John. Super excited to talk to you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you, David. Thank you, everybody. Just one more time for anybody listening. Part of the Proof Points program. The code is ZK Community. Just want to thank you one more time, David. This was great, and we're very much aligned on trying to achieve the same things overall for compliance and for privacy. So excited to see what you guys come up with over the coming weeks and months.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.